Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Tammy Reed in with your VON Major News package for today, Monday, 15th April 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, government files application for expedited appeal and awaits date for diplomatic passport case. And missing fishermen back home in Nevis, a success story. Regionally, several Caribbean countries named among major money laundering centers. Internationally, firefighters tackle blaze at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. And in sports, Team SKN to participate in Carifta Games in the Cayman Islands. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back, and now the national news in detail.
In consultation with senior counsel, we were advised and we have determined to pursue it further, and we have filed an appeal to the Court of Appeal. We have subsequently filed an application for an expedited appeal, which was heard some 2 weeks ago by a single judge in St. Lucia, who has granted that application. And so we await the Court of Appeal to determine a date when that expedited appeal would be heard.
Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs, the Honorable Vincent Byron Jr. Minister Byron was at the time giving an update on the diplomatic passport case involving the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas at the Prime Minister's press conference last Tuesday, April 9th. The case is based on the fact that in July 2015, Dr. Douglas applied for and obtained a diplomatic passport from Dominica. The passport describes Dr. Douglas as a citizen of Dominica. He has also admitted to using the Dominican passport for travel. According to Section 28 of the Constitution, and I quote, "A person shall not be qualified to be elected as a member or MP if he or she is by virtue of his or her own act under any acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, or adherence to a foreign power or state," end of quote. The Attorney General stated that the question asked of the High Court was if Dr. Douglas had violated the Federation's Constitution by receiving, applying for, and being granted a passport by a foreign country and using it to travel.
We expect that that question will be answered. It is an important question, because if the judgment as handed down here stands, it means that every member of parliament on any side of the aisle, whether in opposition or the government, can have a passport from any island in the Caribbean who is a friendly government.
In more national news,
both fishers who reside in Nevis were rescued on Friday 12th after being reported missing from the 10th of April. They returned to the Federation on Saturday 13th in good health. Carlos Tejada, captain, and Vicente Lorenzo were located between Sabre and St. Martin. This is indeed a success story and highlights the coordinated regional effort in support of safety of lives at sea.
Commanding Officer for the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force Coast Guard, Major W. Andrew Bass, Tejade and Lorenzo were reunited with their families after the St. Kitts Nevis Coast Guard transported them back to Nevis. The two fishermen, who are nationals from the Dominican Republic, went out to sea on Wednesday, April 10th at about 10 a.m. from the Charlestown Pier. Subsequently, a report was made by a family member after attempts to communicate with the fishermen failed. According to a report from police on April 12, a vessel traveling between Sabre and St. Martin spotted the man sitting on top of their boat that had capsized. They were rescued and brought to Sabre, where they were given food, medical attention, and accommodation, after which officers here on Nevis confirmed with the authorities in Sabre that Tejada and Lorenzo were in their custody. In the wake of this, Major Bass encouraged all fishermen to execute wise practices.
I encourage the good practice of all fishers to have on board all mandatory and other necessary life-saving equipment, notifying family members, Fisheries Department, and the Coast Guard of their approximate location, and the extreme importance of early notification when an incident occurs. These wise practices, I believe, will allow for speedy activation of resources in the event of unfortunate occurrences.
Major W. Andrew Bass. The men were found approximately 2 days after they were last seen. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris is leading a St. Kitts and Nevis delegation on a 5-day official visit to Taiwan from April 15th to the 19th. His delegation includes the Honorable Ian Patches-Liburd, Resident Ambassador of the Republic of China Taiwan to St. Kitts and Nevis, His Excellency Tom Lee, Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Mr. Andrew Skerritt, Human Resource Manager, Ms. Coretta Harris, Ms. Laverne Harris, daughter of the Prime Minister, Press Assistant in the Prime Minister's Office, Kiloni Johnson, and was joined by Resident Ambassador of St. Kitts and Nevis to the Republic of China Taiwan, Her Excellency Jasmine Huggins. The full expense of the SKN delegation's travel to Taiwan is being funded by the government of the Republic of China Taiwan. While in Taiwan, Prime Minister Harris will be conferred with one of Taiwan's highest non-military orders and decorations for improving ties between Taiwan and St. Kitts and Nevis. He will also hold discussions with Taiwan's President, Her Excellency Dr. Tsai Ing-wen, and Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Dr. Joshie Joseph Wu. Moreover, Prime Minister Harris will use the occasion to visit St. Kitts and Nevis's embassy in Taiwan, and he will meet with nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis who are pursuing tertiary level education at various universities across Taiwan. What impact does the Internet have on crime fighting from the Forensic Department standpoint? That's a question which was posed to the Director of the Forensic Department of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, Mrs. Latoya Lake Marshall, during last Thursday's edition of Policing With You, which is a program put on by the police force. Nowadays, the Internet on a whole impacts everyone's life, whether positively or negatively. With regards to crime in particular, the Forensic Director mentioned the impact that the Internet has.
The Internet works for us in some instances. It has its benefits. It also has its disadvantages. The Internet, for instance, we use sometimes to do our own personal research scientifically. If for some reason we need to check on certain spectrums. However, the Internet acts in some cases as an arch enemy to us too. As I said, the Internet influences.
She added that
there's certain things that persons will go into and tap into. Criminals do it. They look at certain moduses, they tap into all these different sites, and I'm not just speaking of YouTube alone, but there are other sites, and I'm not going to say it, but okay. There are sites that they go into. So the Internet plays a part of, one, the approach of the criminal at scenes. They know what to do, what not to touch, how not to act. That's how I can figure out if this person is knowledgeable. So these are little things that I look at, and the Internet sometimes plays a part with a negative effect for my job.
Forensic Director Mrs. Latoya Lake Marshall. The St. Kitts Division of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is currently investigating an incident surrounding a licensed firearm holder. According to the release, the incident occurred during the morning hours of today, Monday, 15th April 2019, in Old Road, St. Kitts. One individual was reported to have been injured and was transported to the Joseph N. France General Hospital for treatment. Police investigations into the matter are ongoing. The VON News Line will bring you more on this story as it develops. Officials from the Ministry of Health have increased efforts to educate residents of St. Kitts and Nevis on ways to protect against the transmission of dengue fever, which is spread by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Chief Medical Officer CMO Dr. Hazel Laws, in sensitizing the public about the virus, was stated during last Wednesday's editions of the Working For You program that plastic containers, bags in the house and around homes, as well as flower pots are sources of habitat for the larvae of the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Additionally, tires in and around the home, large buckets and basins used for storing water should be properly sealed or emptied occasionally as a measure to prevent mosquitoes from making them breeding ground. Dengue fever is transmitted by the bite of the Aedes aegypti mosquito infected with the dengue virus. Symptoms of dengue include high fever, severe headache, severe pain behind the eyes, joint pain, muscle and bone pain, rash and mild bleeding involving the nose or gums, and easy bruising. Although there is no vaccine to prevent dengue, timely medical care can reduce the possibility of death. In police news, reports reaching the VON News Line have revealed that a young man committed suicide by hanging himself on Sunday, April 14th. It is understood that the man was a resident of Box Hill, Gingerland. This is Nevis's first recorded suicide for the year. Police are investigating the incident, and the VON News Line will provide more details on this story in a subsequent newscast. Meantime, 31-year-old Aini Bohendrexen of Sandy Point was found guilty for the offense of armed robbery at a High Court hearing last Thursday, April 11th. According to a report from the police force, he was charged on May 27, 2016 for the above-mentioned offense, which took place on May 20, 2016 at MoneyGram, located at the Shoreline Plaza, Bastille. He was remanded to Her Majesty's Prison, and his sentencing is scheduled for June 7, 2019. Still in police news, reports circulating the Federation have revealed that a corpse was found in St. Kitts. Authorities, however, cannot confirm that the corpse found on the outskirts of Cairns St. Kitts are human remains. According to a police release, the forensic director of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force and other members of the unit are looking into the matter. Finally, a digital transformation strategy aimed at making government more efficient when doing business with the public, private sector and the diaspora is expected to be launched in St. Kitts and Nevis shortly. This was announced by Minister of Communications, the Honorable Vincent Byron Jr., while addressing members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps at a lecture on Tuesday, April 9th. He stated that in addition to making government more efficient, the idea of upgrading internet speed in the Federation is also being looked at. The lecture formed part of the 2019 edition of Diplomatic Week activities in St. Kitts and Nevis, with this year's theme being Securing a Resilient Future through Strategic Diplomacy and Effective Dialogue. The Ministry of Justice, Legal Affairs and Communications is leading the project and is facilitated by a consulting team from Deloitte, a management consulting company in the United States of America. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019.
That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for two, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy Supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family, just swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back, and now the regional news in detail. All major Caribbean and Central American countries have been listed as major money laundering jurisdictions according to the latest U.S. International Narcotics Control Strategy Report, INCSR Volume 2, dedicated to money laundering for the year 2018. According to an article written by Caribbean News Now managing editor Yuri Kempt and published by imonews.com, the offending countries listed in alphabetical order have been identified as follows: Antigua and Barbuda, Aruba, the Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Curacao, Dominica, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Guatemala, Guyana, Haiti, Honduras, Jamaica, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Martin, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, and Venezuela. The article also pointed out that the only Caribbean Central American countries left off the list this year are the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, along with Martinique, Guadeloupe and French Guiana, all overseas departments of France. Out of the Cayman Islands. Cayman's Public Health Department issued an alert on Friday about an outbreak of measles in Florida and other states in the U.S. There have been no reports of measles in the Cayman Islands, officials at the department said. However, the Pan American Health Organization recently alerted Caribbean health departments to be on the lookout for measles and rubella as a precaution. PAHO officials advised that the following symptoms are highly likely to be present in cases of measles: rash that follows onset of fever, cough, acute respiratory infection, pink eye, and sore throat. While the Cayman Islands is measles-free, the health alert follows 2 confirmed cases of measles imported into the region from France. In the British Virgin Islands, activists believe the decision by a court in the Cayman Islands to legalize same-sex unions could have repercussions for other British overseas territories, OTs, such as the British Virgin Islands. The ruling, which was made by Chief Justice Anthony Smellie in Grand Cayman late last month, was made on the argument that it was unconstitutional to prevent such unions. The Chief Justice ruled for changes to be made to the existing laws that prevented such marriages in the Cayman Islands. The decision was as a result of a couple who went to court after their application to wed last year was denied. In the meantime, according to BVI News, a United Kingdom report released in February this year is pushing for the BVI and other OTs to, among other things, impose same-sex marriages. Out of Guyana, the constitutionality of Vice President Sidney Ali Cox's appointment as acting Prime Minister was on Sunday being called into question because he is not an elected member of Parliament. Former Attorney General Anil Nanalal stated that Ali Cox's swearing in by acting President Moses Nagamutu is unconstitutional because, according to Article 101, the Prime Minister must be an elected member of the National Assembly. In the case of Vice President Ali Cox, who is also Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Nanalal said he, Ali Cox, was appointed a technocratic minister in keeping with articles. Vice President Ali Cox was elevated to act as Prime Minister because President David Granger, who left Guyana on April 2nd for radiotherapy treatment, will remain in Cuba until Saturday. Second Vice President and Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenidge and Third Vice President and Minister of Public Security Kemiraj Ramjatan are also overseas. Nagamoto is performing the duties of President. Former Speaker of the House, Senator Counsel Ralph Ramkaran, believed that Alikok was properly sworn in to perform prime ministerial duties because, according to Article 103, he is qualified to be elected. Finally, Caribbean community countries continue to adopt competing narratives and different visions of instructional authority that divide the region on supporting opposition leader Juan Guaido as the self-proclaimed interim president of Venezuela, this time on the acceptance of his permanent representative at the Organization of American States, OAS. CARICOM has adopted a position of non-interference in the internal affairs of Venezuela and said they were prepared to mediate in the process to bring about a peaceful resolution to the crisis. On April 9th, the Permanent Council of the OAS approved a resolution on the situation in Venezuela in which it resolved to accept the appointment of Gustavo Tarre as the National Assembly's designated permanent representative pending new elections and the appointment of a democratically elected government. That's it for our regional stories. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. A fire has broken out at the famous Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris and has spread rapidly across the building. The cause is not yet clear, but officials say that it could be linked to renovation work. A major operation to tackle the blaze is underway at the 850-year-old Gothic building, but the cathedral's spire and roof have collapsed. Last year, the Catholic Church in France appealed for funds to save the building, which was crumbling. French President Emmanuel Macron, who was on his way to the scene, said his thoughts were with all Catholics and all French people. German prosecutors have charged the former boss of Volkswagen, Martin Winterkorn, with fraud over the diesel emission scandal. 4 other executives have also been charged. Mr. Winterkorn resigned when the scandal broke. The BBC Damien McGuinness report from Berlin.
The former chief executive, Martin Winterkorn, is now accused of multiple crimes, including a particularly serious case of fraud, the authorities say. Allegedly, he knew about the illegal cheating software since 2014. This was a scandal that broke in 2015 when VW and other brands subsequently have been accused of using software to cheat strict emissions tests, meaning that the vehicles are actually dirtier than they appeared when being tested. Now, Mr. Winterkorn has been singled out because he allegedly guaranteed to the authorities that VW was not using such software and selling vehicles where this manipulation had been carried out, even after he allegedly knew about the illegal manipulation.
Finally, European Union countries have approved plans for trade talks with the United States. EU ministers have authorized the European Commission, which negotiates for the group, to seek a deal to eliminate tariffs on industrial goods and to reduce regulatory barriers. The U.S. wants talk on liberalizing trade on agricultural goods, but the EU Commissioner for International Trade, Malmström, said this would not be included.
Agriculture will certainly not be part of these negotiations. This is a red line for Europe, and you will not find any mention of this in our mandate. This was discussed by the presidents in Washington, and where they clearly agreed that that would not be part of the talks. Some issues of interest to Europe, like public procurement, were also excluded.
That brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
Easter, and it's time to hunt your prize. Come and celebrate Easter at the City Drugstore Nevis. Here are the rules. 1. Visit the store. 2. Browse for what you want and browse some more. 3. Choose wisely, and if you present a product with special clues, you win. Prizes include discounts, TDC gift cards, sweet treats, and much more. What's Easter without some shopping fun? So visit the City Drugstore this Easter and win big at our Hunt Your Prize promotion.
Welcome back, and now the sports in detail. In athletics, a 15-member contingent of athletes and officials will this week be heading to the Cayman Islands to represent St. Kitts and Nevis at the 2019 Carifta Games. The event will be staged at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex, Georgetown, Grand Cayman. Coach Llewellyn Pike, who will be assisted by female chaperone Miss Maritza Williams, will be heading the delegation. The team also includes the defending under-17 800 meters champion from the 2018 Games, Trishani Warner. In addition to Warner, the full slate of athletes is comprised of Dimitri Brown, Zaria Allers, Janaza France, Kadu Strawn, Sharim Hamilton, Alexander Keynes, Leroy Chapman, Tijani Morton, Kyle Roberts, Ke Anthony Benjamin, Akadianto Willett, Kemali Newton-Roberts. Team St. Kitts and Nevis will compete in various events such as the long jump, 200 meters, 400 meters hurdles, 800 meters javelin, 4x100 meter relay, and the 4x400 meter relay. The team is due to return to St. Kitts on Tuesday, April 23rd. In more local athletics, the Gladiators Track Club emerged as champions with the 7 gold medals in the Titans Track Club Championships. The event was held on Sunday, April 7th, and saw track clubs from across the federation competing. Host Club Titans secured 2nd place, and Over the Top Track Club came in 3rd. Athletes from the clubs participated in the following events: 4x100, 4x200, 4x400, 4x800, sprint medley, and distant medley. Finally, in cricket, the new Cricket West Indies interim selection panel has chosen a squad with a mixture of experienced players and newcomers for the One-Day International ODI Tri-Series involving Ireland and Bangladesh to be played in Dublin from May 5th to the 17th. The West Indies will use the Tri-Series against Ireland and Bangladesh as key preparations ahead of the Cricket World Cup being played in England and Wales from May 30th to July 14th. Pace bowler Shannon Gabriel returns to the squad, having last played in the World Cup qualifiers in Zimbabwe in 2018. The squad also sees the return of batsman Jonathan Carter after a 2-year absence, having last played in the home series against India in 2017. West Indies Test wicket-keeper Shane Dowrich makes his ODI debut in the 14-man squad selected for the Tri-Series in Ireland. That's it for the sports segment. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back, and now the local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight, partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of light rain. Weather tomorrow, partly sunny with a 20% or slight chance of a brief shower. Winds generally easterly with average speeds between 10 to 16 knots or 19 to 30 kilometers per hour with higher spells over elevated terrain. Seas 1.5 to 1.8 meters or 5 to 7 feet. Small craft operators should continue to exercise caution, mainly in the waters east of the islands. And sunrise tomorrow is at 5:55 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Monday, 15th April 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, government files application for expedited appeal and awaits date for diplomatic passport case. And missing fishermen back home in Nevis, a success story. Regionally, several Caribbean countries named among major money laundering centers. Internationally, firefighters tackle blaze at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. And in sports, Team SKN to participate in Carifta Games in the Cayman Islands. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tammy Reed, wishing you a pleasant evening.